First of all, Swati, thank you for doing this. This will be something that I think will be very useful for everyone in the L&D fraternity, whether it is someone who is starting their journey in the entire L&D piece of the world, or for someone who is somewhere in between or in a leadership position. So I thought the profile you have is so interesting. So just for everyone to know a bit more about your profile, and all of it I picked from LinkedIn. So two or three things which stood out for me. I think you have something to do with the number three, because three continents where you have lived and worked. You have worked in three of the four big fours. And I think this is your third stint with PwC. So
Wow. Thanks a lot for this opportunity. I think I'm equally excited as you are towards this particular discussion because it's very, very close to my heart. I also really like encouraging and sharing more with people who are in the same domain, but who are maybe growing up in their own value chain, in their own careers. So I think this is a great opportunity for me to share all that's happened and all that we look forward towards. The pattern of three that you noticed in my profile is something that I did not really connect so well. So that is very, very exciting. Thank you so much. And I'll just add one more element to that. There have been three major life-changing incidents in my life. That could be for the next discussion when we get into, not today. They're too personal, but yeah, today we'll stick on to my professional journey. And I think God's been kind. I'm grateful to have parents who always wished me well and given me this particular opportunity to work towards the common good of corporate citizens. So I think I'm overwhelmed with the opportunity that I've got always.
perfect. And let me start from the very beginning, right? You have been around for a really long time in the L&D world. You would have seen the L&D world evolve and change dramatically. One of the questions I have to tell you, I keep asking all my guests is, what has changed in the L&D world? So let me ask the same question to you. Um, what has changed? What are some skills which you think are extremely crucial for someone to have today if they have to thrive and do well in the L&D space?
Thank you for taking me back in time, Pravasi, with your thought around when I started my journey. And like you rightly said, at that point in time, L&D used to be just a speck in the overall organizational framework. And as far as I understood at that point in time, learning and development's role was just probably imparting some trainings, some training sessions on voice and accent, on behavioral skills, on motivating people, reminding them about time management, about communication skills. But now that I see L&D today, I'm proud to say that L&D has got a seat on the table of global organizations wherein we are major deciders on how is it that we're going to make the organization ready for tomorrow, and how is it that we are going to enhance the organization's capabilities onto achieving their top line and bottom line. So I think L&D has really, really succeeded in impacting the business to a huge extent over the last 20 years that I've been noticing this space. And the good news is that this is the best time for learning and development professionals to step in into a learning and development role, because there are so many choices, there are so many alternatives available around what all they could do, from the element of enhancing the behavioral capability that I was talking about to being a very, very important pillar in terms of inducing the right technological skill set, to coaching the leadership on how is it that they manage with the changing fabric of the workforce, to helping us stay connected to the market and to the environment outside, onto what are the trends available and how is it that we could be future ready, and how is it that we could skill ourselves and skill the talent within the organization to future skills. All of it falls within the gamut of learning and development. And I'm super proud to say that. Thus, for a professional today, in the learning and development space, I think agility, connect with the market, having a strategic lens to the overall organization's value chain should be really, really critical. I mean, a lot of times I see professionals just stuck to a very myopic vision of what their role is or what their job is, which is to get into a training room and train people, or call them into a hotel and make them go through some fun activities, some learning, and they feel that they've earned their bread. I think that's a great first step. But if you would want to take it to the next 5 steps or top of the ladder, you really need to see what keeps our business leaders awake in the night and what is it that the CEOs and CFOs and COOs striving towards. Those are the various questions that L&D can address today, and that is what learning professionals like ourselves should be, skilled at nowadays.
So one of the things that you mentioned, and I think this will be words of wisdom plus music to ears to a lot of L&D folks, is this probably is the best time to be in the world of L&D, because every day you open LinkedIn and you see that, okay, AI is going to take away some job or some role. I'll probably dig deeper into that a bit later. But one of the pieces that I wanted to ask you was, if someone's starting their L&D journey today, they are in the first, let's say, first 6 months or first 1 year, what do you think where people usually go wrong? So one of the pieces you already spoke about was having a very myopic view towards their role, just focused on what they are doing. But what else do very often L&D professionals go wrong in, which results in either a stunted growth or let's say dissatisfaction with the role itself?
That's a great question, Pravasi. I'm usually not a very pessimistic person. I usually like to see things optimistically. So I'm trying to relate with your question and probably give it a positive spin. I would not say there is myopia only at the employee's end. I think it has to be a mutual connect between the organization and people who are in learning and development, wherein both of them should see each other's value. So, yes, the learning and development professionals can actually go ahead and be the people who take the first step towards reminding the leaders. I mean, I'm not talking about going to the CEOs and CFOs and CXOs of the organization, but even your business leaders, when you're into the daily conversation with your business leaders, your immediate stakeholders, what kind of conversations you have with them is a very, very important first step in my mind. I mean, at a point in time in my life, my conversations were just restricted to how many training sessions do you want in the upcoming month or upcoming quarter? How many people need to be upskilled? How many of them have not received a great rating in their appraisal? What are some of those deltas? What are some of the areas which are, important? Now, what we are doing in that case is, unfortunately, Pravasi, we're making ourselves shift into more of an order take approach. More like when we enter a restaurant, we serve our guests there. L&D somewhere, unfortunately, ended up becoming an order taker for a while, wherein we let the business decide onto which trainings, how many trainings, which all people. But the problem statement is, or the problem is that even the business leaders don't really have the right acumen or right intelligence to be able to understand what capabilities does L&D have. So rather than going as an audit taker, if I was to go as a solutionist or as a strategist to the business leader and say, hey, I read through the HR data, I figured out so many employees in your team are facing this particular challenge. And I noticed that our competitor organizations are getting into this particular area technically. So this kind of skill set might be required. I recommend that we go ahead and utilize this particular strategy to be able to influence your growth and be ready for future. I think that's sort of a conversation when you give a strategic input to the business leaders to digest or to think about will be a great forum for any learning professional to start stepping into the seat on the table and start becoming a value creator in the organization.
Very well said. In fact, something that you mentioned, not be an order taker, be a trusted business advisor, be a true consultant. I think for years we have heard this, right? For a lot of LED folks, that they are acting as order takers and not as consultants. And in the previous response, you said something which is so crucial, but I would like to dig a bit deeper into it. You spoke about the fact that figure out what's keeping your stakeholders awake at night. What are your CXOs thinking about? How does someone who is, let's say, in the middle management or probably a bit lower than that, figure out what's of strategic importance? Because very often you don't get to be in those conversations, right? So what could be some of the sources of information that they can rely on?
Beautiful question. And I'd like to take a personal example here, Pravasi, without taking any names, like a recent example. So, I don't know whether I should say it first, but I'll probably say it when it falls in the whole conversation. Whenever I step into a new role, my first aspiration in that role is to start connecting with people and just knowing them, just establishing a relationship, a connect with people. So I recollect I met this particular very, very critical senior leader from business at a point in time. And all that I saw was this particular leader was really hyper excited and agitated. And, you know, somewhere he was feeling that L&D was kind of a roadblock in his mission and he was not getting what he was expecting. And he was just hyper. And at that point in time, I could find a chance to just say, hey, just tell me whatever trainings you would want to get done. And I'll go ahead and start executing. That would have been a order taker approach and probably might not have led to a long-term solution. I felt at that moment the only thing that I need to do was just to listen to this person and understand and internalize the issues and maybe jot them. So I'm still crazy. I still use a pen and a paper and keep writing every single thing that I hear so that I could get back and sit down and think deeply into what all were the superficial symptoms that this person was sharing and what might be the root cause behind those symptoms, because only us learning professionals can actually go ahead and figure out what kind of a root cause issue can go ahead and address those symptoms. So yes, I took some of those notes, but what I did was I followed up with this individual and set up more time with this person, and I got back with a smaller solution set just based on the symptoms that this person was talking about. And honestly, Pravasi, the magic happens when you hear somebody else speak your own language or somebody else empathize with your own pain. It is just magical. So I could see that energy shift in the call, and this person started giving me an open forum to talk, to present whatever I had in my mind. And once I started presenting, this person became slightly more open and started sharing an opportunity for me to meet up with the senior business stakeholders or business partners and be a part of their larger forums where five, six directors were meeting, five, six managing directors were meeting, and they were sharing business challenges or business issues. So I found a seat on the table there. And that's when I heard another set of challenges that they were facing, which gave me another input to be able to prepare my root cause analysis and my symptomatic analysis and go back with a solution set. Now, a very important critical element here is to remember that the solution set again should not be really myopic, Pravasi. We could have the urge to say, hey, I'll just go ahead and organize 10 training sessions and I'll go ahead and, pull in so many people in this particular topic training or take them out to this particular college for some degree or something. That might be the real answer that the leaders are looking for. How are you going to make that training impactful and which training are you going to conduct is an L&D team's responsibility to take care of. What the business is interested is what kind of a skill set change or what skill set switch would you make? And what will that skill set switch do to the business or do to the organization's success? That is what is a value that you need to drive in meetings such as this. So an important element is to first build a relationship, be empathetic towards the client's demand, take notes, be vigilant about what you hear the client say. Accordingly, put on a thinking hat, think and feel and understand what kind of root cause analysis comes up out of these symptoms and how can you solve for them. And then go back to the business, talk their language and respond in their language rather than responding in an L&D language. I think those could be really crucial good steps from my side.
There are so many things to learn from what you have said till now. And just to simplify it for the audience, what you're essentially saying is L&D needs to talk the language of business. Don't go back and start talking about how many hours of training did you do this quarter, how many people attended it. All that is great data. Keep it to yourself. probably share it, but most likely business leaders are not interested in it. What they are interested in is how has it changed behavior? How has it changed performance? What difference is it making on the ground? And another piece that you spoke about, which I hear very often, is the seat in the room, right? Seat at the table. And very often people say that, oh, we don't have that kind of a org culture where we get the seat at the table. And what you explained right now is you may be in a situation wherein you don't have the seat at the table, but you can actually drag a seat to the table if you are doing the right things. So ask the right questions, talk the language that they understand, and you will get invited to the table. You may not have a chair in the first instance, but over a period of time, you will get one. That's brilliant. And one other piece that you spoke about was I wish I had a leader like this probably 15 years back, somebody who told me to do that. You said that every time you join a new role, the first thing that you do is you reach out and connect with people. One of the feedback, and I'm thankful to my manager. This is back in 2014. My manager gave me a feedback that, Pravasi, you're great at doing what you do, but you need to really work on your networking skills. You don't talk to people other than work. And now when I look back, it was such an amazing feedback because only once you start talking to people, you get to understand where the organization is heading. Um,
Exactly.
Something that you highlighted, that you may not be asking the right question if you're asking, what do you need? But if you can proactively figure out where the organization is heading, what are some of the pain points that they are looking at, what other organizations are doing outside, so that you can bring some of that within the setup, all of those are great inputs. So yeah, in just 15 minutes, I think you have covered 20 years of my career, something that I learned all these years. So, but that's the beauty of talking to someone who's as tenured a leader as you are. So
Thank you.
I'll jump to my next one, but
I think I'll just leave you with a little um, caveat here while you shared so many good observations about whatever I said. Thank you so much. The caveat is that I've been taught and I've studied sales and marketing for most of my studies, my time in my graduation and my MBA. And I think it is that sales experience that helps me or enables me in my L&D career because I get a chance to sell those ideas and understand the client's mindset and target the right clients at the right time. So thank you for observing that, Pravasi.
I'll use that as probably the segue to my next question, which is how to convince business leaders to invest in L&D. And one of the pieces that you picked from your profile was transformation, right? So transformation does not only come at a financial cost, but many a times transformation can also mean a lot of changes in the structure, which can create a lot of concerns. In scenarios like that, how do you get their buy-in? How do you convince stakeholders? And probably your sales and marketing is helping, but please tell
You
others as well.
literally read my brain right now because the only reason why I smiled was because I would give you a very sales oriented answer here. And that's what I keep using in my career. See, every individual, I mean, whenever you go shopping anywhere, Pravasi, or whenever you have to try a new product, you usually go back and ask the vendor to give you a chance or a demo or a chance to explore what it would do to your life, right? Same goes with learning and development. If there is an organization which is in a motion of transformation or which might not have explored the merits behind learning and development, I, as a learning and development leader, would like to start some of these demo initiatives wherein I would invite senior leaders on the table first and so that they could attend some discussions. I would not call them training sessions, but I would call them learning interventions because I'm sure as a seasoned professional and a leader, you also know, Pravasi, that a learning intervention is different from a training session. What I aim towards doing is launching interventions which could help people learn, help people regurgitate whatever is in their mind, whatever is happening in their environment, and then come out with a solution. So I would like to invite these senior leaders to go through some of those interventions, maybe free of charge initially, internally facilitated, so that the stakes are low, but they still get a chance to understand the transformative powers that our capabilities have. And then ask them to maybe introduce a pilot group, some people whom they believe in, who could come back and attend the same second run, and then be a second party to see the kind of transformation within their own team, right, with the pilot group. And then the pilot group could also be utilized to become the uh, the team that actually goes ahead and spreads the noise or spreads the message across the junior level population, and introduce their younger team members also into the intervention that thinking about. But how we choose the topic, how we design the whole instruction, and what sort of a objective do we place for ourselves for that particular demo session has to be really well thought through, Pravasi, so that it could showcase some very clear business changes, business
Yeah.
impact, but should have a very short lead time between the transformation that you want to showcase and the time when the intervention was carried out, so that you see an immediate aha moment from the clients. I'll give you an example, something that suddenly came to my mind long time ago when I started working with Satyam Computer Services Limited. Satyam suddenly, out of the blues, asked me to set up a culture and foreign languages learning department because they were dealing with a lot of different cultures and they had a lot of interns also working from different countries through the ISIC community. And at that point in time, it was important for me to understand what challenges are people facing because of the cross-cultural barriers. And it was really perceptive. It was very clear around what was happening. So the only thing that I could remember was let's celebrate a culture day month, right? Or a culture month or a culture day, wherein we invite speakers from different cultures and we get in some Indians who would have traveled to that particular culture, the kind of, funny issues and challenges they would have noticed and faced. And um, then relay the kind of festivals, the differences in communication style, the difference in gestures, the difference in facial expressions and everything that are present in different cultures. Just that little training or maybe intervention that I conducted in an open forum gave people so many different realizations as to why a German was thinking in a particular manner and why were they so directive. Whereas why an Indian used to be circling around the bush and not coming straight to the point, that immediately like dissolves so many disputes and challenges that people were facing amongst themselves because they saw it out in the open that hey, it's cultural, it's not individual oriented. So demos like this could be really fruitful in making an impact from an L&D standpoint.
Interesting. And um, uh, one of the points that you mentioned, and I think it's so important in today's world, is the impact of the intervention should be visible, even if it's not in totality, at least something should be visible in a short period of time. You can't
Exactly.
say that, okay, we have done this today and you will get to see something 12 months down the line. Very difficult to convince senior stakeholders if you are going with that
100%.
story. Um, Great. And one related aspect that I have, because you spoke about the fact that there was a point when you were setting up a culture center and there was a challenge that was posed to you. When you transition from a practitioner, right, you're conducting training sessions, you are designing content, etc., from a practitioner's role to a leader's role where you are looking at things or overseeing things and you are more interested in the large business impact that L&D can make. What kind of skills and, let's say, behaviors or thought process changes that you brought in which helped you succeed in the leader's role?
That's a great question, Pravasi. And I think even though I might sound biased and I should not rely on only one tool, but I will just talk about one tool that has helped me the most, which is the situational leadership tool. I think the way in which situational leadership helps you understand your current employee's mindset and help you trace your footsteps around whether you're going to delegate, whether you're going to support, whether you're going to coach, what are you going to do with this particular individual is highly, highly critical in a leadership role. I mean, if you're talking from a team management perspective, if you talk from a client perspective or how do I deal with the clients, I don't think my style has changed much between when I was a practitioner vis-a-vis when I'm a leader. The only thing is that I've now started talking a little more about more strategic problems. And in the background, I decide to empower my team to think about tactical problems and discuss those tactical problems with the clients so that they themselves feel a little more ownership. They themselves feel special. They themselves feel equipped and a critical part of the whole machinery.
And so essentially what you're saying is everyone within the team is reflecting the behaviors that you would want them to reflect as a leader as well.
Oh,
So
150%. So I don't want to brag or don't want to be boastful at this minute, Pravasi, but then I hate being a directive leader, someone who walks with Prada and does not really consider the people walking along with me. I just hate that. I really like to take my team along with myself. I learned something beautiful, incredibly amazing from a leader called Mohit Sharma, who used to be my leader in Reliance Infocom when I was interning there. I asked him, Mohit, how do you handle all these 100 million things that, like 100 calls that come to you? He said such a remarkable thing that stays back with me till about 22 years now. He said, Swati, I believe in creating clones of myself. If I don't create clones, I would never be successful as a leader. And I think that stayed back with me, Pravasi, since then, from then till now. That unless and until I create a clone within my team who can think like me, if I'm in the hospital, there'll be nobody to take care of my business and there'll be no sustainability. We don't really run a one-man show in the organization at all. It has to be teamwork. And I really, really believe in that teamwork.
I think Swati, after this, once I make this live, you will start receiving a lot of applications of people wanting to join your team. But it's interesting, and I think I don't know. I used to think it's with me, but hearing your story, the lessons you learn early on in your career, they stay with you for such a long
Oh,
time.
yes.
And I think you understand the true meaning of the lessons much later.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
what you said, something similar, my boss told me. So this is my first job. I was really good at doing something, and I had reached a point where in the probably the first 1.5 years, I had already started leading the team.
Wow.
And my boss once asked me that, okay, have you taught what you're doing well to others in the team? And I was hesitant, and I think I was visibly hesitant, probably with the thought process that if I teach everyone else, then I'm going to lose my competitive advantage, right? How will I differentiate myself? But she said something which has stayed with me ever since. She said, Pravasi, if you don't teach anyone else how you do this so well, you will continue to do this for the next 20 years and you will
Exactly.
not grow. And
Exactly.
that was an eye-opening moment for me. And I was like, that makes sense. If I don't teach others, then I'll continue to do this because who else is going to do it? And it's so true. It stays with you, right? And I think listening to you as well as if I reflect on my journey, I think we have been lucky to have leaders like these
I agree.
because I do hear stories where learning leaders are not so kind and they do carry Prada and they don't take the team along with them. Um, I'll probably take your focus to something else, which a lot of L&D practitioners, I think professionals across the globe are quite um, excited as well as anxious about it, and it has come close as well to L&D world, which is AI, right? You hear AI is doing this, AI is doing that, AI is going to do everything. In fact, a couple of weeks back, I was talking to someone and they said that, look, if AI is going to do everything, then skilling will not be needed. Now, if skilling is not needed, then why would L&D be needed? And I was like, okay, that's a very interesting thought, but that is foundationally relying on the fact that you don't need humans at workplace. If we reach that point, then nobody will have work. We all can sit at home. But till the point you need humans in the workplace, L&D will have a seat. But let me ask this question to you. What changes are you seeing in the L&D world today where AI is making an impact, and how do you see this evolving? What's your crystal ball telling you?
How sweet. Thank you for using such a beautiful term, my crystal ball telling me, but I'll come to that in 2 short minutes, Pravasi. Before that, I'll I'll actually thank you for helping me remember all that my wonderful leaders have taught me and supported me with in childhood and since the time I've kind of grown up. But then I have to confess, even I have faced some very, very, very difficult leaders in my life, and it was so tough to deal with them, to work with them, and to meander through that situation. So my heart really goes out to all your listeners and professionals who might be going through that particular scenario. Look, I'm always available for an ear, for a discussion, for anything that somebody wants to talk about, because I know how difficult such times could be for any individual. It could really be that breaking point. It could really be that tipping point where you just don't know where to go and you kind of lose touch with even working as a professional a lot of times. So, I mean, we are all humans and it helps to have somebody to talk to. I'm always open. I'll be more than happy to share my experience and support people. When it comes to AI, look, I am an extremely, extremely strong user and lover for AI. I love utilizing artificial intelligence and the various tools that are available and the good things that it can provide. Thus, I find it funny when people say that AI can replace people. Working on artificial intelligence myself, like every day, day in and day out, I know that the system is not sacrosanct, is not foolproof. It it hallucinates so much. It throws up so many different responses compared to what we were asking for. We're all talking about the concept of what do you call this? Prompt engineering. Like the kind of prompt that we write on the AI is what the AI will go back and respond to. Human beings are not prompt engines. We are like a mind does not work like a prompt, right? So an AI can't really replace the kind of algorithms that are present in our mind and the kind of challenges and issues that happen in a human mind. AI can't just go ahead and connect the dots with that kind of an algorithm in a human mind. It can't. We are the people who are feeding algorithms in AI, and AI will always, in my mind, be a very, very nice servant or a supporter or an engine to be able to help us, like any other technology in the universe. There was, I mean, I still remember when year 2000 turned around and we were all worried about the whole bubble that'll blast with year 2000. I mean, they called it something which I'm forgetting the term.
Y2K, Y2K.
Yeah, the Y2K bubble and something like that. Nothing quite happened. We found a way to manage it because the algorithm that we've been born with, Pravasi, is really, really marvelous. And it has got no fear from a tool which human beings themselves have developed. So I don't think that AI will go ahead and steal our jobs. But yes, the the nature of our jobs will change drastically. And the way in which we L&D professionals can use artificial intelligence also has to be thought through and also has to be capitalized upon. So now I don't think we really need to be standing there and departing a training session on topics which can be in which we can go ahead and train on or train through some e-learning modules. We don't need to be the people sending emails out to professionals and reminding them that a training is upcoming or they need to learn something. AI can do that for you. We don't need to be the people who will be scrolling through all the appraisal forms and figuring out what sort of a skills gap exists in which particular employee. AI can go in and do that. So AI will be a wonderful, wonderful propeller in such a case to be able to help you strategize and make your L&D function more robust, more strategic, more exciting. But we professionals will be required to still choose that, hey, if I want to enhance basic communication skills in an employee, what particular skill set will be the right skill set for this organization according to the demands of the business? AI will not be able to do that. AI will not be able to tell you if somebody is feeling upset or sad, how should I just handle that employee and calm that employee? AI will not be able to help you understand how do you handle a workforce in the United States when there is global changes and dynamic environment that's happening in the United States and people need some sort of a way to be able to manage through the change that's happening. AI will not be able to do all of that. We professionals are the people who will need to be there to be able to support individuals, or support people. Only that we will be able to use AI for other purposes and free up more time to do more fun things. That's how I look at it.
Do more fun things. I'm looking forward to it. And in all honesty, I'm just hoping that AI doesn't reach a point wherein it replaces humans for the next 15 years. And after that, it's absolutely fine because I'll be out of the job market and they can take away everyone else's job. That's okay.
Oh God,
Uh,
I don't think it's next 50 years also, Pravasi, but your job is safe.
um, One of the things that you mentioned when you were talking about this was the people side of it, and one piece that I see as a common pattern in most of the places that you have worked is all the organizations are people intensive in the sense that they rely on humans to do most of the work, be it the professional services firms or other services firms. So I think most of your time, probably other than Reliance, where it could be one of the manufacturing or any other units, has been with services industries and industry. And even today, you are with a services firm. Uh, and something that India is developing into, which is global capability center hub, right? I think we are already there.
Yeah.
So not just looking at GCCs, but looking at professional services and GCCs, which are once again highlighting people intensive organizations. What do you think? Which are some of the skills as common theme you have seen where a lot of organizations are investing their time and effort in because they feel that it's a really required skill or behavior?
Wonderful question, Pravasi. And I think you open up multiple windows in front of me suddenly. So, just a little input for you, which is not present in my LinkedIn records, is that I got a chance to work with Jubilant Foodworks as well to head learning and development for Domino's Pizza and Dunkin' Donuts for a shorter duration. That's why I don't mention it. Hence, I was a heavy product organization that I got a chance to work in. And owing to that, and owing to my experience with Reliance Infocom, I can actually draw a very good parallel. Look, when it comes to product organization, your people are not the forefront of your business. Your product is the forefront of their business. Hence, you would need more executional capabilities or more strategic executional skill set that you would want to implement in your people so that they could be the right channels towards product development, product enhancement, product distribution, and also obviously consumer focus and consumer connect building. But when it comes to a services organization, which has been my passion usually, you need to have people not just manage the back end, but also the front end. And that is why the kind of skill set that you require in a front-ending organization has to do a lot about a human-to-human connect, uh, person-to-person connect. So how do you manage different temperaments? How do you think strategically? How do you think in spite of all the amygdala hijacks that are happening in your brain at any point in time? How do you negotiate with very tough stakeholders? How do you find meaning within a huge amount of ambiguity? How do you switch sales, or how do you change your gears when there is a sudden market shift? All of those become really, really critical skill set in professional services organization like the big four organizations and PwC. But when it comes to GCC, which are considerably bottom heavy, which have got a huge number of employee workforce sitting at the bottom of the pyramid rather than at the top of the pyramid, there you would need heavy executional and cross-cultural capabilities, because in my understanding it's usually a lot of international countries that come back to India for GCC oriented work. Indian organizations are usually self-sufficient, but we get a huge amount of workload from international areas where cross-cultural interaction becomes an important area, and so does all the other basic executional capabilities also.
And in terms of just extending the GCC point of view, uh, I think something that I've seen and also it's getting spoken more often these days is we as in a country, we are moving up the value chain. So from just being the execution point, we are also now getting involved in some of the innovation centers are coming to India.
That's right.
And how are you preparing the workforce for something like that, wherein innovation is being expected from people within these GCCs?
Well, although I do not work for a GCC at the minute, but if in case still, if you feel that PwC Acceleration Center is an extended arm of a GCC, the good news is, Pravasi, we have a special learning curriculum for innovation, and we've got a dedicated team that's working in the area of innovation. But I would still re-emphasize, and I think I'll connect it back to what I spoke about artificial intelligence. It's only when you allow individuals to be their best natural self and to be able to be connected with the organizational problem statement and to give them adequate time and empowerment to be able to find a solution through tough times. I think it's incredible how much employees could do, especially people who are coming fresh from B schools, fresh from engineering colleges. They're plethora of ideas and they could come up with some great innovative solutions. We keep organizing hackathons, ideathons. We keep inviting all input from professionals and also keep reminding them through a lot of chatbots and training sessions and discussions that they just don't need to comply with what's been suggested to them. They have an opportunity to raise their hand and suggest a better alternative and say,
Mhm.
hey, we might not be going in the right direction, and we're totally comfortable in listening to that from a junior employee and allowing that junior employee to get another solution on the table, experiment it, work it out, and see if in case that could bring a better result. So, organization has to be that open-minded and has to be that broad in terms of the thinking.
And an organization which allows to their employees to do that probably inherently is focused on people development, right? You are encouraging people to be curious. You are encouraging people to think differently, and all of that essentially means that you are looking at developing people and not bots.
Absolutely.
Will do what you have asked them to do. Great. Probably the last two questions, and uh, I have two questions. I'll probably bring them together, but in case you want to split them and not respond, that's also absolutely fine. We spoke about the importance of having the stakeholders buy in into L&D interventions, specifically if these are strategic interventions. Another aspect is use of technology in learning and development. It's growing almost on a daily basis. A lot of it comes at a huge cost, especially if you are trying to bring in a new LXP or you are trying to bring in a new system. It could be a content library or anything of that side. And the third aspect is most business leaders are asking for what's the ROI, right? How you are impacting. They may not be asking for dollar value, but they are asking for can you give or can you show the difference that a training program or intervention has made. Um, if you look back, uh, how critical is support and buy-in from these strategic leaders, business leaders for L&D interventions to succeed? And a related one is how important is it is for L&D to sort of report success stories in business terms so that there is more trust on what L&D can do.
Brilliant two questions, Ravasi, and like you already guessed, I'm going to split the two and respond to. So the first one, uh, well, I live with that sort of a realization and happy appreciation and humble appreciation that I'm here because of business. I'm here to be a business partner. I am not in an organization to set up a mammoth learning and development team just for the sake of my own magnanimity or my own superiority or just promote myself. I don't think that has been my mission ever. Since we are a propeller for business, I think businesses buy-in and businesses happiness, for very simple terms, is the most critical success factor for me. Thus, I would not really, when you spoke about LXPs and when you spoke about technology and all the other enablers, I'm really cognizant, Pravasi, that all of those enablers are enablers for us. They are for the learning and development professionals. Business doesn't understand what is the meaning of LXP and they don't want to spend those 1 hour or 2 hours or 1 week to understand what an LXP does. They don't care because they've got 100 other things to be worried about, to be troubled about when it comes to their work, to be able to sustain the business, right? So, as a business leader, I can always go ahead and report the outcome of that LXP and not tom over the fact that I've got an LXP introduced. That doesn't make sense. But when I say that, hey, because of the new innovation that we brought into L&D, could be via the LXP that we do, we were able to influence so many people and so many employees were taught in different areas and they showcase this sort of a transition in the skill set from this point to this particular point, which we might be doing with a skill benchmarking or a skill evaluation activity, whatever it is, whatever choice you choose. The results are really, really critical for business to know, but they don't need to know the enablers towards that. And to the second question, Pravasi, I would not just go in reporting results to only business. I would really like to highlight the results to the employees as well, or to the entire organization, because at the end of the day, the end user or the people who sit through learning sessions is the employees.
Yeah.
And unless and until they are motivated, unless and until they feel that there is a value add from a learning and development activity, they would not feel like joining it. Or even if they do, they would be partially present or maybe just absent-minded in that learning activity. And you just be using a stick approach constantly, reminding them not to work on their mobile phones, reminding them not to be on their laptops, and reminding them to come back from tea breaks, stuff like that. You would be a traditional teacher, like a school teacher. So unless and until I emphasize and let our employees also know the impact that we're creating with learning and development and the opportunities that we're creating for them and the exciting life that they would have probably at a very superficial level to be able to learn more, I think I'll be able to create a WIFM for them. And building that WIFM is the most important thing in my mind for business and employees both.
So they are not just coming for CPE credits, right? Something that
Absolutely said it all.
for years altogether, every time you offer something, the question would be, how many CP credits? Are you coming for credits or are you coming for learning? But
Oh my God, I've had times in my life, Pravasi, when I used to be a trainer, people would at times just wait for me to say, "Hey, Swati, now let's have an activity. Let's play a game. Aren't you playing a game today?" And as a trainer, that would really hurt my sentiments so bad. I would be like, "Oh my God, they're here just for that activity, that game, and just to break free from their work rather than look at the value that we're going to create with a learning session." So I think I would really want to emphasize the value that it has in long term in an employee's career if in case they were to attend learning programs.
before I let you go on just on that note, given and I know how busy you are and how many time zones you manage. In your current role, are you still able to stay in touch with what's happening on the ground, what's working well with learners, learner experience, and all those things?
I think that's such a beautiful question, but maybe it's just my stupid personality, Pravasi. I'm a very talkative individual, and I end up building a huge amount of relationships across every organization, especially with people whom I would have trained or attended some training sessions here and there with. As a learning and development leader, I ensure that I go across all these locations, sit in all the training rooms or as many as possible, interact with some employees, just feel their pain. But at the same time, remember, I hate to be a person who will just listen to a problem statement and not act on it, not dial back. So I ensure that I dial back to that employee, let the person know that, you know what, we've looked into it and this is the solution. Even if there's an employee who pings me to understand Where can this person get the Udemy license from? Or if there are any more LinkedIn licenses available, or if in case he's facing or she's facing some problem with the learning portal, I like to be the first point of contact and respond to them and ensure that they are heard and their problems are solved. So with this particular act, I'm able to build a huge amount of network within the organization and keep getting a pulse or a sense of what's happening on the ground level with my consumers as well, not just my team and my business.
Wow. And probably we'll wrap up on that note, but I have to say, Swati, one, super impressed, a lot for me to think, digest. But most importantly, I'm reiterating my point. I think once this goes live, you will receive a lot of people's requests to join your team, or and you offered it on your own,
Yeah.
right? You are there if they are going through troubling times. You They can reach out to you. I think you have invited trouble, so you will start receiving a lot of requests. But
I think the
uh,
last sentiment I shared with you, Pravasi, meeting people, connecting with them is nowhere of trouble. It's an opportunity for me and I enjoy it. I think that's the purpose that I've been born with. I might not be able to guarantee a job to anybody at this juncture or at any other juncture. But yes, when it comes to me supporting in any ways possible, emotionally or with any guidance or any experience that I have, I'll be thrilled any point in time.
And personally, I can add to that that everything that you said is exactly what Swati is all about. This is a Saturday evening, and she's doing this for us. So you can imagine 5 days of full-time job and doing this on a Saturday. So thanks a ton, Swati, once again for doing this. And I think this is going to be of immense use to a lot of people. And even though I said it on a lighter note, I think there are people out there who would reach out and they will seek help. And I know the kind of person you are, you will offer it. So thank you for doing everything, including this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me, Pravasi. I'm honored as much to be able to get this chance to reach out to you, reach out to the employees, and get a chance to share my story, my perspective. And I'm so, so overwhelmed with this opportunity. Thank you so much for this time.
Perfect. Thanks, Swati.